Guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with our iOS development with UIKit tutorial series. And in this particular tutorial we are going to be taking a look at what are size classes, and we're going to briefly touch on UI trait collection, as well as figuring out how it is that we can listen for different trait changes in our UIKit applications. All right, so let's start off with what is a UI trait collection. Well, UI trait collection is a UIKit object that is a collection of data in the environment of a, for example, view or view controller to represent some kind of state or trait. Now, the traits that we are most concerned with in this particular video are the horizontal and vertical size classes. Although there are others that you can work with, such as layout direction, the scale of your, like the user interface scale, the device idiom, so whether or not you're on like the phone or the iPad or the Mac, that kind of stuff. You can retrieve from the UI trait collection. And with that being said, I mentioned horizontal and vertical size classes. What are those? Well, size classes are a mechanism that Apple uses for their platforms, for their mobile platforms, to determine what kind of display sizing or multitasking app sizing your app is using. So it's a little bit easier to be able to adapt your layouts this way than it would be in on other platforms. So for size classes, there are two different options. There are regular, and then there is compact. Now on the iPhone, when you're in portrait mode, in the vast majority of cases, you are going to be dealing with a regular vertical size class and a compact horizontal size class. While in landscape, those values are reversed, where in landscape you're dealing with a compact vertical size class and a regular horizontal size class. On the iPad, in regular circumstances, when you're not in multitasking, you're going to be dealing with both regular horizontal and vertical size class values. But this does change when you're using multitasking. All right? So the human interface guidelines, the layout page in particular, that I have on screen now, has a nice table showing you the different values for the horizontal and vertical size classes based on device model, whether you're dealing with, when you're dealing with multitasking on the iPad and all that sort of stuff. So I highly recommend that you look at this document. In fact, I highly recommend that you read the human interface guidelines generally, because it helps you to understand kind of the guidelines that Apple recommends for building apps on their platforms. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to follow them to the letter, but it kind of gives you some guidance on what users generally will expect when interacting with your apps on Apple devices, whether it be the Watch, the Mac, the iPhone, the iPad, the Vision Pro, whatever it might be that you're going to be working with. All right, so with that, how then do we actually retrieve and handle these values in code? Right, because it's kind of one of those things that you could do in storyboards, and it would be a little bit easier to do in storyboards, but we want to do it in code. So how do we do that in code? Well, let's go into Xcode here. And to start us off, I have a simple application with a single label in the center of the screen. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to display the horizontal and vertical size class values in that label. Generally speaking, that's not something you're going to do in a real-world app, but I wanted to demonstrate to you how you can retrieve those values and then how you can listen for changes in those values in a view controller in particular. So that way you, as the developer, have the necessary building blocks to handle any changes to the user interface depending on the size classes, because how you do that is entirely up to you. No single tutorial is going to show you how you should or should not redesign or shift, rather, your user interface around based on the size classes. My goal is to demonstrate to you how you can set that up. How you can, the basic building blocks that you need to be able to do that. You're on your own. All right. So inside of our view controller, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of those. We're going to create variables that represent the horizontal and vertical size class at the time that the view is loaded. So we'll say let, and then we'll call it horizontal equals trait collection. This is the UI trait collection for our view controller. Dot horizontal size class. All right. Next, we'll create a constant called vertical equals trait collection dot vertical size class. All right. So now that we have those values, how do we get a string value for this? Because if we try to print these out or display them as, strings, it's not going to show regular or compact. It's going to show something entirely different that we don't exactly want. Well, what we can do here is we can say let horizontal, let's say str equals horizontal equals dot regular question mark regular, otherwise it'll be compact. Let vertical str equals vertical equals dot regular question mark regular colon compact. Okay, now we have string representations of our size classes. Let's go ahead and instead of setting the text to hello iOS of our label, we will say we'll use string interpolation to pass in. We'll say horizontal str, comma, space, more string interpolation, vertical str, like that. Perfect. Now, if we run the app in the simulator, so the simulator we're going to be using is the 16 Pro Max, so the iPhone. And you can see compact regular because our horizontal size class is compact, whereas our vertical is regular. But what if we rotate this? What if we rotate the device? Does it update? Well, let's find out. Okay, we've rotated the device. And no, it doesn't update. Now, why is this? Well, that's because we're only retrieving the values when it we're only retrieving the values, right, when the view loads, and that's it. They're not going to change automatically in our labels text. So how then do we do that? Well, one thing I'm going to do first is we're going to copy these four constants here. All right, we're going to copy these. And then above our configure method, I'm going to say trait collection did change. Now, this method on our view controller, this method that we're going to override here, we'll say super dot trait collection did change. All right. All right. So with that, we can then do our own logic in here to respond to the trait collection having changed. And so here we'll go ahead and just plop our four constants in here. And then we can say size class label dot text equals, we'll again do some string interpolation here. We'll say horizontal str, vertical str. All right. Now, keep in mind, as Xcode lets us know here, this particular method was deprecated in iOS 17. Right? So there are other ways of doing this, and we will cover that in the next video. But for now, this should work. Let's go ahead and run our code now. All right. Let's go ahead and, okay, there we go. We can see compact and compact regular as the string of our, or the string text of our label here. Then when we change the orientation, we now get regular compact to reflect the change. So now our horizontal size class is regular, but our vertical is compact. If we change it back again, you can see compact, regular. Precisely what we expected to happen. So with that pretty much does it for this video, guys, on how we can listen for changes in traits for the size classes in UIKit pre-iOS 17. And that is also, and that pretty much also does it for learning what a trait collection is and what the size classes are. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.